By the end of this video, you'll know 5 specific signs your estrogen is too high and exactly what to do about each one. And the last one? Most women have no idea it's connected to their hormones at all. So grab some water, get comfortable, and let's dive in. Estrogen. You probably know it as the primary female sex hormone. But here's what most people don't appreciate. Estrogen does a lot more than regulate your reproductive system. It influences your brain chemistry, your bone density, your mood, and yes, your body weight and fat distribution. So when estrogen gets too high, it doesn't just affect your cycle, it affects everything. There are a few main hormones at play here: estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, cortisol, insulin, and leptin. They're all connected. Think of them as a team. When one player gets out of line, the whole game shifts. And one of the most common shifts I see in women ages 25 to 50 is estrogen dominance. That means your estrogen level is too high relative to your progesterone level. Now, let me be clear. I'm not here to scare you. High estrogen is manageable, and recognizing it is the first step to feeling like yourself again. So let's go through the 5 signs so you know what to look for. Sign number 1, unexplained weight gain and bloating, especially around your hips, thighs, and chest. This one surprises people because estrogen is often framed as the female hormone, the one that makes you curvy and feminine, and it does. But when levels get too high, it actually makes losing weight significantly harder. Here's why. Estrogen influences how your body stores fat and how it balances insulin. When estrogen is elevated, it can contribute to something called insulin resistance, which makes your body store calories as fat more easily, especially in the lower body. There's also a hormone called leptin that plays a role here. Leptin tells your brain when you're full. High estrogen can interfere with leptin signaling, so even when you've eaten enough, your brain doesn't get the message. You keep feeling hungry. You keep eating more than you need. And the weight creeps up. The bloating part is its own beast. Estrogen affects how your body holds onto water. When estrogen spikes, many women retain significant water weight, sometimes 5 to 10 pounds of fluid that comes on suddenly and doesn't respond to diet changes. I've heard from women who step on the scale and see a 4-pound jump overnight. They panic. They think they binged. But it wasn't food. It was water. And it's often estrogen related. If this sounds like you, the action step is straightforward. Reduce your intake of refined carbohydrates and added sugar. These drive insulin spikes, which amplify estrogen's effects on fat storage. Also, make sure you're getting enough fiber, 25 to 30 grams daily. Fiber binds to estrogen in your digestive tract and helps your body eliminate it instead of reabsorbing it. Sign number 2, intense food cravings, especially for sugar and carbs. This one's connected to the first, but it's worth addressing separately because cravings can feel so overwhelming that they override your best intentions. When estrogen is high, it affects dopamine levels in your brain. And dopamine is the reward neurotransmitter. It makes you feel good when you eat something sweet or starchy. So when estrogen drives dopamine higher, your brain seeks more of that reward. You want chocolate at 2 in the afternoon. You want bread with dinner. You want something salty and crunchy after dinner. It's not a character flaw. It's chemistry. A study published in the journal Physiology and Behavior in 2019 found that women with higher estrogen levels showed significantly greater reward-driven eating behaviors compared to women with lower levels. The women with elevated estrogen needed more dopamine hits from food to feel satisfied. This explains why the same eating plan that worked for your friend doesn't work for you. Your hormones are different. Your brain chemistry is different. That doesn't mean you're broken. It means you need a different approach. What works here? Eat protein and healthy fats at every meal. These stabilize blood sugar and reduce dopamine-driven urges between meals. Also, consider supplementing with magnesium. Research from the journal Nutrients in 2021 showed that magnesium deficiency is common in women with hormonal imbalances, and that supplementing can reduce cravings and improve mood-related eating. Many women notice their chocolate cravings drop within a few weeks of getting their magnesium levels up. Sign number 3, heavy periods, and severe menstrual pain. This is probably the most obvious outward sign of elevated estrogen. Estrogen thickens the lining of your uterus each month. That's called the endometrium. When estrogen is high, the lining gets thicker than it should. And when you have a period, you shed more of it. More lining means more bleeding. Research published in the journal Climacteric in 2018 found that women with the heaviest menstrual flows had estrogen levels roughly 45% higher than women with lighter flows. 45%. That's not a small difference. And it's not just about heaviness. High estrogen also increases something called prostaglandins. These are inflammatory chemicals that make your uterus contract more intensely. More contractions means more cramping. More cramping means more pain. Now here's the part most women don't hear about. The problem isn't just high estrogen on its own. It's often an estrogen-progesterone ratio issue. Progesterone is the other key player in your cycle. It balances estrogen's effects on the uterus. But in perimenopause, during the luteal phase of your cycle, or with conditions like PCOS, progesterone can be low while estrogen stays high. That's called unopposed estrogen, and it makes everything worse. The action step: support progesterone naturally. Seed cycling. Eating flax seeds during the first half of your cycle and pumpkin seeds during the second half has shown promise in supporting hormone balance. There's also evidence for chaste treeberry or vitex, which has been used in herbal medicine for centuries to support the luteal phase. A 2020 review in the journal Pharmaceuticals found that Vitex was effective for reducing menstrual irregularities and pain in multiple clinical trials. If heavy periods are disrupting your life, track your symptoms and talk to your doctor about hormone testing. This is fixable. You don't have to accept it as normal. If you're finding this useful so far, hit subscribe. I put out videos like this every week, and the next sign might be the one that clicks everything into place for you. All right. Sign number 4. Breast tenderness that goes beyond normal PMS. This is something that affects a huge number of women, but often gets dismissed as just part of being a woman. A 2020 survey of over 2,000 women found that nearly half experienced breast pain severe enough to impact their sleep, exercise, and intimacy. That's not nothing. That's quality of life. Here's what's happening biologically. Estrogen binds to receptors in breast tissue called estrogen receptor alpha. When estrogen levels are elevated, this receptor activates and breast tissue swells with fluid. It's similar to the bloating we talked about earlier, but it's localized. And it's sensitive, sometimes painfully so. What many women don't realize is that progesterone actually counteracts this. Progesterone binds to progesterone receptors in breast tissue and helps reduce swelling and inflammation. But when progesterone is low, which happens in the luteal phase for many women and more broadly as they approach perimenopause, that protective effect disappears. The tenderness persists. It worsens. It starts earlier in the cycle and lasts longer. A 2017 study published in the journal Breast showed that women who used a topical progesterone cream experienced a 58% reduction in breast pain over 3 months. 58%. That's a meaningful change. The action step: consider supplementing with a bioidentical progesterone cream, especially during the 2 weeks before your period. Also, reduce caffeine and salt in the week before your period. Both can worsen breast tenderness. And if you're using hormonal birth control, know that many formulations contain synthetic estrogens that can elevate your overall estrogen exposure. That's worth discussing with your doctor. Sign number 5. Fatigue and brain fog that feel like a thyroid problem but might not be. This one is subtle, and it's the one most women miss. Here's the connection. High estrogen increases a protein called thyroid-binding globulin, or TBG. Think of TBG as a shuttle that carries thyroid hormone through your bloodstream. When TBG is high, it grabs onto more of your available thyroid hormone. The hormone gets bound up and can't enter your cells, so your labs might look normal. Your TSH might be fine, but your body isn't actually getting the thyroid signal it needs. This is called functional hypothyroidism, and it's shockingly common in women with estrogen dominance. The symptoms look exactly like thyroid dysfunction: fatigue, constipation, dry skin, cold intolerance, brain fog, slow metabolism. But when you test, everything looks fine. So you get told there's nothing wrong, but something is wrong. Your body just can't use the thyroid hormone it's producing. A 2015 study in the Journal of Thyroid Research found that women with elevated estrogen levels had significantly lower free T3 levels, the active form of thyroid hormone, even when their TSH was within normal range. That's the smoking gun. Your thyroid is making the hormone. The estrogen is hiding it. The action step: ask your doctor to test free T3 and free T4, not just TSH. TSH alone doesn't tell the whole story. And if your free T3 is low normal or below range, consider working with a functional medicine practitioner who understands hormone interactions, often reducing estrogen dominance through the diet and lifestyle changes we've already discussed, is enough to restore normal thyroid function without needing thyroid medication. Now, let's talk about what to actually do about all of this, because knowing the signs is one thing, fixing them is another. The foundation is reducing your exposure to xenoestrogens. These are synthetic compounds that mimic estrogen in your body. They're in plastic food containers, canned foods, non-stick cookware, and many mainstream personal care products. They bind to estrogen receptors and amplify the estrogen effect. Cutting back on these gives your body's estrogen system a fighting chance. Start with 3 changes. Switch from plastic storage containers to glass or stainless steel. Eat whole foods instead of processed ones. And choose personal care products with short ingredient lists. If you can't pronounce it, skip it. Second, support your liver. Estrogen gets metabolized in your liver, and if your liver is overwhelmed with toxins, alcohol, and processed food, it can't process estrogen efficiently. That means more estrogen recirculates in your system. Eat cruciferous vegetables. Broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. They contain compounds that support estrogen metabolism. Consider a liver support supplement with milk thistle and DEAM. DEAM, or D-indolylmethane, is one of the most studied compounds for helping your body process estrogen into its healthy form. Third, manage stress. Cortisol and estrogen are connected through a pathway called the HPA axis. When you're chronically stressed, your cortisol stays elevated. High cortisol suppresses progesterone production. And when progesterone drops, estrogen dominance gets worse. It's a feedback loop. Meditation, walking, adequate sleep. These aren't luxuries. They're hormonal medicine. Here's the thing I want you to take away from this whole conversation. Your symptoms are not in your head. Fatigue, weight gain, cravings, heavy periods, breast pain, brain fog. These are real. They're rooted in real biology. And now that you can identify the 5 signs, you have language for what's happening in your body. That knowledge is power. It means you can take action instead of accepting the symptoms as normal or inevitable. Small, consistent changes. The ones we talked about today add up. Fiber, stress management, xenoestrogen reduction, liver support. These aren't complicated, but they work. If you found this video helpful, share it with a friend who might need to hear it. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one. I've got more coming on hormone balance, metabolic health, and feeling like yourself again. And take care of yourself this week. You've got this.